and my Kansas City woman, boy, the whole bottle is so drinking wine. I may take a plane, I may take a train. If I have to walk, I'm going there just the same. I'm going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women. One day I'm gonna get me one. I don't know when and where I'm going to. Kansas City, here I come. Going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women. One day I'm gonna get me one. I'll be standing on the corner 12th Street line. Stand on the corner 12th Street line.
One.
Good afternoon. We're broadcasting on Saturday, April the 10th, from Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, and all over the world. And we wanted to first, we'll introduce our guests, but prior to that, we'll go into our remembrance and dialogue. Here's the update. At the last show, 2 shows ago, we said that the young lady, Dima McCord, let me get that right, was murdered. We found out later that it was a murder-homicide situation. Just found that out, but I want to make sure our audience get that information because we're no nonsense with anything that we do on Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. My name is MC Richardson. I'm your host and executive producer. And now we'll go to our gentleman at the Greater Kansas City Community Garden, and then we'll also have a retired Major of the Army, and we got a great show planned, so just stay tuned. And if we could, maybe a lot of people might want to, well, this is April the 10th, so we'll just kind of forego that information, but it will appear on YouTube, Facebook, smartphone, and people who can go on the internet to Ferguson, USA, HotTalkRadio.com. Shall we proceed, Mr. Folks?
Yes, sir. You did a great job, MC. My name is Al Frost. I'm with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and I'm happy to be a part of the show. So, MC, Mr. Richardson, without further ado, our guest is probably ready to go, and we look forward to having a great show.
Okay. Who are our first guests?
Well, we got do we have Ben or do we have Mac?
We got Ben.
Okay, well, Mr. Ben, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, first of all, Mr. Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know this is going to be a Ben and Mac, a team effort here, and presently, Mr. Mac has made in you. But tell us a little bit about yourself personally. We can go from there.
Sure, I'm the executive director for Kansas City Community Gardens. I've been here now for 35 years, and our agency works to help people grow their own food in backyards and vacant lots and at community sites, and we work with schools. We also have community orchards, and that's the program that Matt helps us with. He's part of our Give and Grow program where we grow fruit, and so we're just all about trying to help people grow food here in Kansas City.
Okay, well, you mentioned, you work with the entire community. I know in our Black Chamber of Commerce, one of our members, Mr. Bill Cole, the son of Carol Cole, he has a program he has run called Green Acres going with the city, and the young people there, is he part of somebody you work with also?
Yes, he's part of our program. He is one of our what we call community partner gardens, and they've been gardening with us for several years now. So those kinds of agencies, we help them get fruit and seeds and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, using him as an example, okay, someone that will come to you longer in the greater St. Louis, Kansas City area, they're there to be one of your clients, or how does that work?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well.
I said if someone came to you in the Kansas City area and they want you to be involved with your program, what's the first thing they will be required to have?
If they want to, so we actually work with individual families too, so someone can sign up to have a garden in their own backyard, or they can rent a plot. But if someone wants to do a group or a community garden, they just need to talk with our staff that works with all the community sites, or if they want to work with an orchard, they would talk to Matt Bunch or Mary Jane Myrose with our Giving Grove program. And by the way, so Matt has just joined us, so he's here in the office now.
Hello, Mr. Richardson. MC, you still there?
Yes, sir. Well, Matt, are you tuned in? Did you pick up your phone?
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
Okay, I'm minutes ahead of you, so you're gonna have to introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Matt Bunch. I am the horticulturist for the Giving Grove, and so the Giving Grove is a program of Kansas City Community Gardens, and we work with groups all around the metro. We've helped install over 200 orchards throughout the Kansas City area. So these are orchards of anywhere from 10 to 100 trees. And we work with a lot of nonprofits, work with schools, work with neighborhood organizations, communities of faith. So, that's a little bit about us.
Well, both of you can tell the people that how to become a member, and you can kind of say what each type of member, like I'm a green card member, okay?
Sure. We have different levels of membership, and it's based on income. And so, the green card is for lower income households, and then we have a yellow card, which is kind of a medium income, and then a higher income level is blue cards. And so, depending on the card color, will depend on the cost. So, like for instance, a green card family can get a membership for $2, and that gets them 10 packs of seeds, it gets them a 10-pound bag of fertilizer. They can also sign up to rent a plot or get tilling in their backyard for about $10 or $12. So the whole idea is just to make it very affordable. And then with that membership, they can also buy vegetable plants at low cost, and it's about a third of the cost of the garden center. So really trying to make it affordable for people.
Okay, and what about the fruit trees, Matt?
Well, the same kind of applies there. So we are trying to make these low cost, and so we do every year we have a bare root fruit tree order, and so one of the things that just like on the vegetable side of things, all of these vegetables are ones that do extremely well. It's the same for the fruit trees. So these are all fruit trees that have good disease resistance to a lot of the major fruit diseases that we experience in the area. Like, for example, with apples, it's apple scab and fire blight. Those are the two big things that we have to deal with. And then with the Asian pears and the European pears, it's pear scab and fire blight, and on and on. So we have selected varieties that will thrive in the Kansas City area, because there are thousands of varieties of fruits out there, and really only a few varieties do well around here.
What about, do you have dwarf fruit trees?
So most of our fruit trees would be considered semi-dwarf. Semi-dwarf is kind of loosely a category of 12 to 18 feet tall on sort of like, let's say, your apple tree or your pear tree. Now, semi-dwarf on a pear, because a full-size pear it will get upwards of 30 to 35 feet tall. So semi-dwarf on a pear is going to be more like 20 to 24 feet tall. However, it's all about how you prune and when you prune in order to dwarf your fruit trees.
Well, would you explain what you mean by prune? What does that consist of?
Yeah. Well, prune is not just a fruit, but it's something you do to your trees. So by pruning your fruit trees, so there are a couple times to prune your fruit trees. One is the dormant season, which has just now left us. We're already in the spring and buds have been broken. But then the next time to prune is in July and August. And July and August pruning on a lot of your older mature fruit trees will actually start stunting their growth. And it's that stunting of the growth which actually starts dwarfing the tree. So, for example, we have some Asian pear trees right outside our building that we now manage them at about a 12-foot level. So they were upwards of 16 to 18 feet tall, but we are now managing them at a shorter level. So this can be done just by using pruning techniques. Back to sort of the dwarf trees, sometimes we do offer dwarf trees or trees that are a little bit smaller to make it easier for people to maintain and to harvest.
When do they reach maturity?
Well, that's just it. You know, fruit trees are really quick to mature. So, I mean, really by year 7 or year 8 in the ground, that is considered a mature fruit tree. And so you'll be getting, let's say it's an apple tree, you'll be getting that 150 to 300 pounds of fruit per tree. We have some trees in the ground, so we started our program planting trees in 2013, and so we have some trees that have been in since then, and we're getting 400 to 450 apples per tree, and these are nice full-size, half-pound apples. So really not too long before you start getting a harvest.
Well, here's the other thing. A lot of you just don't buy one tree, because I got the Asian pear. You have to buy at least 2 for pollination to take place.
Yeah, that is true for a lot of species. So with Asian pear, it's definitely recommended to have 2 different varieties so you can have the cross-pollination and the fertilization of the flowers. Now, with tart cherries, you don't have to worry about that. Or with peaches, you do not have to worry about that because those species, they are self-fertile. But most of your apples, pears, Asian pears, they are going to require another variety to help pollinate.
Well, we're talking about fruit trees or orchard. I don't know how large the space you need, but a lot of people are into that, want to be into that. How long, well, you said, what about the dwarf trees? How long should they, wait to bear fruit, or should they have to go to the grocery store to one of the other orchards to get fruit?
Right. Well, the thing about this is you can plant a tree today, and it will actually flower for you in a couple weeks. Now, the thing about that is you really have to be patient because you don't want, for the first 2 to 3 years that a tree's in the ground, you do not want those trees to put fruits on. So there's a little mantra that I kind of go by. It's roots and shoots and not fruits. And so you want those roots to get settled into the ground. You want those shoots, as in the vegetative part of the plant. You want it to grow good and strong. And then by year 3 in the ground, it's okay for that tree to put on flowers and then to go ahead and set fruit. So by year 3, you could have 50 or 60 fruits on your apple or your Asian pear tree. By year 5, that's going to be double that, if not more.
Well, let me ask you this. This is April the 10th. when should one purchase that? Is there a certain time you should purchase these trees?
Yeah, so, well, our sale with the Kansas City Community Gardens is now over with the fruit trees, but it's still advisable to plant fruit trees up until about the first week of June, or I'm sorry, well, first week of May, because really you don't want to get into June or July and plant a tree because the weather gets pretty hot and the rainfall is not as reliable as we want it to be. So more than anything, you're kind of stressing yourself out and stressing the tree out when you plant too late in kind of late spring, early summer. So April is a perfect time to plant trees. Of course, there's a reason why Arbor Day is in April. But yeah, you can plant up until that first couple weeks of May, and then the next best time is to plant trees in the fall. Now I know a lot of nurseries don't have that stock left in the fall, but some of them do. And if you plant October, November, that's one of the next best times to plant trees.
Okay, and the people now, membership. Well, I know we will repeat this, but give your location and a phone number if somebody's interested in becoming a part of Community Garden.
Sure. We are located in Sloat Park. We're at 6917 Kensington, and we're just a couple blocks from the Nature Center and the new Pet Center, not far from the zoo. So it's easy to get to us right off of Gregory. You can come from 435 or from 71, either one. And our phone number is 816-931-3877. And our website is www.kccg.org.
Okay, we got Matt, and we'll come back to you, Matt. Now, Ben, tell us about what you're responsible for as the planters. I know you're the overall, the boss of the Greater Kansas City Community Garden, but let's kind of enlighten or educate or orientate our people what is happening with the plants and when can they be purchased. It's a certain time. Now, I don't know if you use a former almanac or what for people. They used to do that, people who grew up on farms.
Sure. Right now it's time for the cool season vegetables. So people come and want to get a membership. They can come in now to the office, sign up. We'll get them signed up even if they've never done it before. And they can get some seeds and plants and not have to spend very much money. And but right now, planting the cool season vegetables is the thing to do. So think of things like broccoli, cabbage, lettuce, mustard greens, turnip greens, collards, kale, spinach, all those kinds of things. They really like the cool weather, and they can tolerate some colder weather. In fact, we're actually going to have a little bit of frost this week, and they should be just fine. Although, actually, wait, this is going to be April 10th. Hopefully, we won't be having any frost by then. So they'll need to plant cool season vegetables. That's about the end of that time. But then coming up at the end of April, 1st of May, it's time for the warm season vegetables. Things like tomatoes and peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, squash, etc.
Okay. Y'all have anything like that in St. Louis, Howard?
Well, MC, we probably do. I know one of the things that I have worked with here in St. Louis with my co-host, matter of fact, Elder Alan Lyles. He works with the city in a weed and seed program we have here that's been quite successful in a lot of different parts of the city where, they do something similar, but not to the level that is being described here. But I will have a couple of questions for you. How much space would you want to need, okay, to try to look at building a tree or something like that? Because I think one thing is something that with what having, around the world, food-wise, to have your own, vegetables in your own garden, you can't beat because the prices are going up like crazy.
Now, who's going to be first to answer?
So I was is that a question on space on fruit trees there?
Yes. How much? Like let's say you mentioned apple trees. You mentioned quite a few different trees. So how much space would one need in a regular backyard? Is something that's ideal, or would they need something larger than that?
Yeah. So, well, of course, it does depend on variety. Like some of these, for example, there are these bush cherries that are out there. They're a tart cherry, and they grow on a shrub, and all you need is one of them. And this thing gets 6-7 feet tall, 6-7 feet wide. So, that's all the space you would need for something like that. Now, if you're talking sort of your more traditional dwarf or semi-dwarf fruit tree, you would want to give it about 10 to 12 feet of space. Really, we like to give things about 15 foot of space, so 15 feet on center, and this is also 8 hours of sun a day too. So yeah, that's. I'd say some of those dwarf varieties that are on a dwarfing rootstock, you can space them 6 or 8 feet on center, but it's hard to find those varieties on that rootstock.
Now you said dwarfing. Exactly what does that mean?
Well, what dwarf means, and mainly it applies to apples, but so it means that they are on a rootstock that actually decreases the size of the plant. So there are some rootstocks like B9 or G41. You'll see these listed out there. And what that means is, so a normal apple tree is going to be about 24 to 30 feet tall. Wow. So these rootstocks will decrease the height and width of the plant, so they're something more like 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide. So that's what that means. Now, there's also, to confuse you even more, there are something called genetic dwarfs out there, and so there are peaches. There are a number of peach varieties that are genetic dwarfs, and so they will not get more than about 7 to 8 feet tall and wide.
Well, I guess the next question, okay, for a person as a beginner gardener, doing what you guys are doing, how many seeds? How would you know how many seeds to put? When you're planting them, you put 1 seed in the ground or 2 seeds. How would that work out?
Sure, and that's going to depend a lot on which crop you're going to plant. We actually have on our website a tool that will help you figure that out.
Okay.
It's like a little computer program, but basically you're telling it how much space you have and which crops you want to grow, and then it'll help you figure out how much spacing you need for each crop, and it'll tell you, about how many packets of seeds you'll need.
Okay.
Something that helps people too is maybe just come look at a garden. Like we have a garden here at the community garden. If we have a demonstration garden, you can see the crops, and then you'll see how much space different things take. Like, zucchini squash spreads out quite a bit. But, things like lettuce, they don't take very much room. They're small, and you can put a lot of them close together. So just seeing a vegetable garden, I think, is really helpful to people if they've never done it before.
But, to answer your question, though, I do have a cousin that does, he's also a chef. He also does community garden, he does for his businesses, and also he works with a lot of young people. And matter of fact, he also uses a goat to take care of the grass that needs to be cut also. So yes, there are several people I'm thinking about that in the community that do plant garden, because like I said, the price of the different vegetables are kind of expensive. And most recently, I guess we just had this barge, or this container got stuck in the Suez Canal, and a lot of times we get a lot of stuff from foreign countries that we import here in our grocery stores.
Well, that was freed up last week.
Yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah. We're talking April the 10th, and That was last week. But what I wanted to know, back to the plants, and I know we got our retired Major's Berry. She want to get on, but this is adding more fruit for her to talk about. But I know a lot of time you got to get sweet potato way early because they'll run out, and a lot of people place their order maybe a month or two ahead of time. Just talking about the sweet potato plants, but the other plants.
Orders for sweet potatoes, and people can place the orders, tell us how many dozen they want to get. You don't actually have to pay for them now. Just give us your name and email address and how many you want to get, and you'll get on the waiting list. So when they do come in, which is usually the first week in May sometime, then we'll call you and you can come pick them up. The sweet potatoes are so easy to grow, and they produce a lot of food. So definitely something worthwhile to garden.
Now, you say that, what, do you have different types of sweet potatoes?
Right now, we're only carrying one. It's a really good, hearty variety for here. It's the right length for the season, because sometimes if you just get like a sweet potato from the grocery store, it might be a different variety that takes a longer season to grow. We produce nice sweet potatoes in the amount of time that we have for our season.
Well, you know, the other thing that people want to make, they want to grow, I know, watermelon, the other cantaloupe, and other things like that. And some of them say that you need sandy soil for that to grow. Is that true?
That's not true. A better way to say it would be you don't want to have a really bad clay soil. And that's the problem around here. We have lots of clay in our soils. But a good, regular topsoil, a nice, what we call loam soil, will be fine for growing watermelons or cantaloupes. And if your garden soil isn't very good, you can add some organic matter, and that will improve the quality of it. We're going to be doing a workshop here on Friday about garden soils and about how to improve your soils. So that's something else people can check from our website. You can actually come to the workshop. You can watch it live on, live stream on the computer, or you can watch it later on the YouTube channel.
I know we have retired Major Rebecca Bradley. Is she with us, Aaron?
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Okay, and we're Matt and Ben don't go nowhere because she has a lot of questions for you. And I have a saying, the public has a right to know. And first, I've been knowing this young lady for quite some time, but she wanted me to introduce her, but we can't let Ben and Matt outdo her, so we'll let her introduce herself. We're ready for you, Major.
All right. God bless everyone. My name is Rebecca Bradley, and I grew up here in Kansas City. I went to Central Missouri State, now University of Central Missouri, and I went into the military. From there, I have joined ROTC. I did 7 years active, 3 years in the reserve, and I came out a major, yes. But as a child growing up in Kansas City, I grew up in the city, and we had a lot of fruit trees. And we enjoyed that. My mom would plant plants, and I grew up to plant plants, and now my daughter's planting plants. And, as I was researching for this story, I came up on Lady Bird Johnson's Wildflower Center, and they talked about influencers. And these influencers were Black women who were formerly slaves, how they took care of the plantations, and that they did a lot of the beautification of those plantations. And they also started putting tin cans together so they could plant their potted plants. And so I thought that was very interesting, and I wanted to make sure that I would bring that out because this is some historical facts that we generally don't talk about. And they do have a Black women's plant club. My daughter, she finds this very relaxing, and she already started. She started with her tomatoes and her herbs, and she's in Mississippi. And weather is a whole lot better down there than it is up here. But as a veteran, my organization, National Association for Black Veterans, we get out in the community and meet the needs. Generally, where you see a need, you try to meet the need. And we have noticed where we meet down on 18th and Vine in the Jazz District that some of the community, when it comes to plants and flowers, weeds are growing. So we took one of our meeting days and we met down there, cut down a lot of weeds that were choking the roses. And so I am interested in anything community, anything Gordon, because I believe that adds aesthetic value to our community. Because we can get out and we can ask, this agency, if they don't come out, we're type of people, veterans, Black veterans, we take charge. And that's exactly what we did. We got in there, and it took about a few hours, but it looked good when we got through, but then the pandemic hit and no one was able to get out and do it, and the weeds have grown back. So my question is, what can we do to prevent those weeds from growing back, as well as beautify that community? Because in our community, on 18th and Vine, they took down bushes, or should I say evergreens, and the evergreens eventually turn yellow because no one waters them. Or they're plants that we can use based on the soil down there that doesn't need a lot of watering, keeping in mind that it's very sunny down there. I think I said a mouthful. What do you think?
While we're waiting for her answer, she is.
All right, so she wants to know about how to stop the weeds from coming back. That's the question everybody wants to know, because if you use like some strong weed killers, that will stop them from coming back, depending on what kind of weed they are. But that also can maybe prevent you from being able to grow something else there. And then also can damage any other crops you're maybe trying to protect. So generally, just keeping things mowed and trimmed will keep weeds under control a whole lot. If you can mow stuff, weeds will generally not totally take over. But if a lot goes unmowed for a long time, the weeds will come in and just totally take over. So that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. What kind of plants? Because I noticed, like, when you go down to the more high-dollar neighborhood districts, they have beautiful plants down there. But when you go down to 18th and Vine, what you have is the green shrubbery. So we have put in requests to get all of that fixed up, to see if we could get some flowers or whatever. But we're not going to wait. They haven't done it. What can we purchase, or can the community Gordon help us with some flowers that we ourselves can put down?
So we don't actually, our mission is not to grow flowers, but we do sell some flower seeds. And so members can buy some seeds. We also are starting to carry a few perennial flowers, some native type plants that will help attract bees for pollinating fruits and vegetables. There is a native plant society that might be able to help you if you're trying to come up with some varieties.
The Deep Roots, they're formerly the Kansas City Native Plant Initiative. They might be able to help you figure out something, especially native plants, to help beautify that area. Don't want to forget about cannas too, because every year we do sell a few cannas, and cannas.
Now, don't you have to, on those cannas, do you have to dig those up each year?
Generally, yeah. You wouldn't have to replant them. Are you trying to find some perennial things that you wouldn't have to dig up every year, wouldn't have to plant?
Perennials is fine, and even using seeds are fine. I once used seeds in the home that I lived in, and they would grow back every year, and I loved it. I think about Lady Bird Johnson, how she used wildflowers to beautify the highway. Is there something that we can do similar that we can put down in our community that would grow back yearly?
Well, and so yeah, I know the one of the missions of the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center is to promote native wildflowers, and so we do have we will have a number of those native perennial wildflowers for sale a little bit later on, and Ben, you can speak to when they will be.
Yeah, that's right. We will have a plant sale here that's sponsored by another organization. The Westport Garden Club will be holding that. It will be on our website, the information, but I think it's later in April. So if you're looking for native plants, perennials that would flower, that's good. We also have a small pollinator garden here that you can come see some really nice examples of some perennial flowering plants.
Okay, that would be nice, because just seeing an example is something that we could go with. And our organization, we have ladies as well as men who are veterans, and we enjoy what we do, giving back to the community. Like I stated, we came down with our shears and our weed eaters, and then there was a gentleman by the name of Darius, and he works for the city, and he came out and helped us as well. So anything that you can teach us or show us, what perennial seeds, native, what would you suggest that we can put down on some of these areas?
Well, I think the first thing I think of is it's called clustered mountain mint. It is so if you know mint, this is closely related to the culinary mint, but this is a really beautiful plant. It brings in so many different pollinators, and really it is pretty maintenance free. You cut it down every year, this time of year, and then you just let it grow. And it flowers for, 3 months out of the year. And you want to talk about doing a service for all of the various bees and wasps and butterflies. There will be so many that will be on that plant. So I would recommend that one first. I think of blue wild indigo as being another good one. It's also known as Baptisia, and it's a very when it matures, it gets to be about a 4 feet tall, 4 foot wide, nice round perennial with these really beautiful deep blue pea-like flowers on them. So those would be two right off the bat that I would suggest.
And do they start off with seeds as well?
Well, you can do them from seeds, certainly, but I think it's actually beneficial to buy them as plants, because sometimes, especially the blue wild indigo, takes a little while from seed to actually flower. So sometimes they need a good 2 to 3 years in the ground. Definitely 2 years in the ground before they flower. So it's one that you would want to buy as a plant. It's really the same with the mountain mint too.
And you say the maintenance of these is very little? Require very little maintenance?
Very little. You cut them down in late winter or early spring, and then you just let them grow throughout the growing season. Yeah, you have to keep the weeds out of them, but other than that, they are very, very easy to care for.
What is the benefit of not only sunflowers, but Mexican sunflowers? And there's another plant that they plant, I forget the name of it, I have some, to attract the walnut, no, not the walnut, the monarch butterflies. And so do you recommend or how to get this? Do you sell any seeds for sunflower? And what's the benefit besides people eating a sunflower seed?
So we do sell some sunflower seeds. We have some varieties that will be growing if you want to eat the seeds yourself. But we also have some ornamental sunflowers. And I forgot what your other question was.
Well, I know the Mexican sunflower, and a lot of people, the one that attracts monarch butterflies, that plant, that flower.
We do not have that particular variety. That's something that's easily to order from a mail order catalog if somebody wants to know. For that Mexican sunflower, sometimes called Chithonia. So, yeah, it does attract some butterflies. So definitely it's a beautiful plant.
So is that the benefit of having those, to attract first the caterpillars and then the butterflies?
Yeah, but I mean, there's lots of different plants that will attract different butterflies. So Matt knows quite a bit about the ones that attract monarchs. If you want to attract the black swallowtails, you think of things like that are in the carrot family and the parsley and dill family. They will attract them. So there's different species of butterflies, like different species of plants, and so you just need to have different kinds, so you'll attract a variety of butterflies.
If you just tune in, you're listening to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. This is our April 10th show, and we hope that people enjoy this show and get in touch. We're going to be back and forth with the community garden, and also we'd like to know about what retired Major Rebecca Bradley does and her different organizations, and what's the benefit of people belonging to them, and who do you seek out? I think we spoke about some people with some illness or whatever, it could be Asian Orange or some other things that happen, and you're talking to veterans for all this.
Yes. I have one more question, though. Is Perrine a good product to use to keep out the weeds?
So Perrine is a pre-emergent herbicide, comes in granular form, and it will stop, seeds from germinating. The problem is you would never want to use it if you were going to be planting seeds, because that would stop your seeds from germinating. But if you have established plants or you're putting out perennial plants, you could use that.
Okay.
It can be effective in helping to control a lot of weeds.
Yeah, because we're talking about a community where, we meet there once a month, and there's not a lot of maintenance that is done. So we want to do what we can to beautify that only require low maintenance.
Well, the other thing, though, that helps a lot, and in fact, what I would recommend even more than Perrine would just be to use a good mulch. If you use a good mulch, which means a layer of maybe 3 inches of organic matter, could be something like straw, could be, depending on what kind of plants, could be wood chips if you're doing perennial. So different kinds of mulch will, they'll stop weed seeds from germinating and cut down on, most of the weeds that would be getting in there.
Okay, so, the city comes and they put down mulch around the trees that line the sidewalk, but the weeds grow back. And they only come once a year, and that's what we were trying to tackle, what we're trying to beautify. So is it something that they're not doing right, or how can we prevent that?
Well, nothing is going to be 100%, and everything will take some work. But so you can, if you're putting down shrubs, sometimes you can put landscape fabric down around them, and then you put mulch on top of them. The other thing is you just occasionally have to add some more mulch, to keep smothering out the weeds. And I could say for flowers and vegetables, I like something like straw, or I even use grass clippings, or we use a product called cotton vermicompost. Those all make nice mulches. But for trees and shrubs, probably wood chips are the best. I don't know if Matt has any thoughts.
No, I like wood chips on trees, shrubs, and perennials. I think some of the problems that you can have with weeds is sometimes those weeds are perennial. So they have their roots growing underground, and and you could put 2 to 3 inches of mulch on, but they have a strong will to live. And
yeah,
I
you know,
I think in Bermuda
we got
in particular.
we have weeds that grow into trees. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, so I mean, there could be a lot of different weeds that do that, but what I would also suggest is sometimes using some of those fabric weed mats to put those down in the bare spaces. So you plant your perennials, or you have your area for annuals, let's say, but then everything else has a black weed mat on it, and then you put down your mulch after that. So that's a long way to limiting your maintenance.
But there are lots of trees that grow up as a weed, and at first it just looks kind of small and not very difficult, but then all of a sudden you're looking around and it turns into a big tree. And so when you see little tiny trees starting to grow, you need to remove them so they don't grow into big trees.
And that is so true. And I know, like, right on the corner of 18th and Vine, they got some beautiful rose bushes. And every time whoever does the maintenance, I used to run outdoors, please cut down the weeds, please cut down the weeds. And because the weeds would actually choke out the beautiful roses. Yep. And so we went out there a couple of years ago, and we saw cut down the weeds. And like I said, with the pandemic, we couldn't get back out last year. So we're going to try it again. You know, just because we're in the urban core doesn't mean that we're, quote unquote, ghetto. Because there's a lot of businesses in that community, and we have a lot of people that visit the district, going to the Jazz Museum and the Baseball Museum. And I don't know if the city has money or not to get over to our area, but National Association for Black Veterans, if we see a need, we meet the need. And we meet down there, so we try to invest back into the community. And that's one of the pillars of our organization, is investing in the community. And I am most grateful that Mr. Richardson allowed me to come on the air to ask you guys all of these questions, because it really doesn't take nothing but manpower, maybe a few dollars to get some flowers. But seeds we can do. So, any other comments on that?
Well, while they are working on researching that, I did want to get back to the plants and more organic, and what are some of the beneficial insects to get rid of the insects you don't want around there? Both organic, a lot of people in community garden, they don't know what to buy, and then you have some stores that sell, like, for example, ladybugs, and say, you pay this money for the ladybugs, and you don't have to worry about it. As soon as all their necessary food they want, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are a lot of beneficial insects out there in the world, and it can be a problem if you buy adult ladybugs, because adult ladybugs have wings on them, and they will fly off. It's actually the ladybug, the larva. So I don't know if you've seen the ladybug larva before, but they kind of look like little tiny alligators on the leaves of your plants. And they're the thing that eat so many aphids. So if you're lucky, if you buy your pack of adult ladybugs, maybe some of them are ready to lay eggs on your plants. But as far as other beneficial insects, wasps are some of the most beneficial insects out there in the garden, because they are great caterpillar hunters. And it's caterpillars that affect a lot of the different crops that we try to grow, at least on the fruit side and on the vegetable side too. So don't just swat the wasps when you see the wasps close by because some of them are actually quite beneficial.
What about the hornets and the garter snakes?
Well, hornets, I don't know if I could speak to them exactly. Now, garter snakes are pretty good because they will actually serve as a little bit of insect control, but also rodent control too. So let's say you have little field mice that are digging up your garden. Garter snakes are perfect for that. I don't know if garter snakes eat squash bugs, man. Do you know about that?
I don't know that. I know they do eat insects. So
Yeah.
I didn't know they ate mice. I thought you had to have cats for that.
Well, garter snakes and black snakes do. Yeah.
What other information we haven't covered? I know you guys, y'all been preparing for this show for the longest, even though I just caught up with you recently. Do you have that the community would need and want in order to, I know you'll never grow out of enough seeds and plants, but you want everybody, just like our stated earlier, a lot of people are planting their own garden. They want to maintain it. And then we're into, what do you mean by organic?
So for organic, typically what we're meaning is that you're trying not to use artificial chemicals, especially insect control, bug sprays, but also the herbicides to kill weeds. A lot of those chemicals can be fairly toxic to humans and to pets, and also the soil and the environment. So that's why we're recommending try to use natural insect controls, but also organic refers to just building up your soil, having a healthy garden, encouraging pollinators, bees and the wasps to come in. And when we're talking about wasps, we're not talking about the big kind that sting you. We're talking about wasps that go out and eat other insects or predators to other insects, and also do pollinating and all that good stuff. So,
well, how do you attract them?
Well, that's what Matt was talking about, planting certain plants like that mountain mint and some of the other native perennials attract lots and lots of those bees and wasps.
Yeah, what I would recommend is for any of the listeners to come out here anytime from kind of May through August and take a tour of our insectary garden and also the beanstalk garden. You might as well see everything while you're here. But in that insectary garden, you will see some of these plants just attracting so many of these beneficial insects. It's really astounding to be able to see 40 some odd different species all at once on just one plant. So, yeah.
So, while you guys were talking, I got a chance to get on my iPad and I looked up the cluster mountain and the blue wild indigo. And they do look beautiful. But I also ran across something called Turkish Veronica. Are you guys familiar with that?
Well, I know Veronica, the plant. It's I don't know Turkish Veronica exactly. Is it kind of a blue, spiky, purpley, spiky flower?
Yeah, and they were growing through like cracks.
And then what?
We have a lot of cracks in our sidewalk, and the Veronicas were growing in between the cracks, and they were very beautiful.
You know, Major, let me just ask folks again. One of the things that before you came on, I was talking to Ben and Mag that we worked with one of our members with Green Acres, a gentleman by the name of Bill Cole. And we also worked with him through the USDA. And just seeing and listening to some of the things that you are saying, it may be behoove you to kind of reach out to Brother Bill, and maybe we can kind of take this to another level here and get some other people involved they're going to take an interest in the community that we have down there to try to beautify, a little bit more than it has been in the past.
Yeah, because we, as I stated when I first came on the radio, uh, a lot of African Americans, particularly slave women, they, took care and beautified those plantations. They don't get a lot of history out there about them, but that information, even though it's not written in books, it was handed down to my grandmother, to my mother, to me, and to my daughter, and we always trying to find something to beautify our gardens. And I believe that plants and flowers give aesthetic value to our community, as well as if we just plant them in front of our home. I don't realize that, but yes.
I agree with you because I grew up in Mississippi myself, and my uncle had a beautiful garden. He had hollyhocks. He had all types of different roses, and then my auntie in the backyard she grew peaches. She grew figs and things such as this. And she would can them for the wintertime. And she sold them. And
That's true.
Those things people have kind of forgot about doing stuff like that.
Yeah, because when I grew up in a community where there were a lot of trees, and it was a former community where they had business people who sold fruit. And so as we moved into the community, there was a certain day that they would let us come and we would pick peaches, apples, we would get grapes off the grapevine. There were plenty cherry trees and berry trees, and that, I want to say that wasn't too long ago, but it might have been a little bit a while back. But, we should return to beautifying our community with seeds as well as plants. Seeds grow very well, very well. I use those when I couldn't afford plants. And, botanical gardens, we should visit those and see what we can do to just plant a few seeds in front of our home.
Once again, it seems like time goes by so quickly. So in the closing, we'd like for you to tell people how to get in touch with you, good contact information, and as far as the gardeners are concerned, what's the best time for them to get certain plants? Like I was going to plant some bell peppers and plant some tomatoes, but I understand I got to wait till the end of April or the 1st of May. So give the people your contact information, and I know we need to get more veterans involved, and that's where we'll go to Major Rebecca Bradley so she can keep that word flowing. And let's have some update shows, too, to tell the people how we're really progressing through all this dynamite information we're providing our listeners.
I have to say this, Major Scott Owen, who was our engineer and our general manager, works with a lot of veteran groups here in the St. Louis area, okay? And I'm quite sure, Scott, you can speak up here on your own here. But I think, there may be a relationship we can kind of create with the Major here that can expand what she's actually doing in the entire community.
I'd love to talk with her.
Yes, because we all love plants. That's why we're on the radio today. But I believe that, plants also help with your mental health because it's beautiful. And it's something that you yourself can grow and cultivate. And as long as you have land, as long as you have faith, even a tin can, throw some dirt in it, plant some seeds, and give them away. My daughter, she went out and got plants and seeds, and next thing I know, right up here in the hallway, she had a light on them. And she told me the other day, Mama, this is what relaxes me. And, as veterans, a lot of us experience a lot in the military. And sometimes it takes just the simple things to help your mental health relax. It's like release, relax, and let go. And there's nothing stressful in it. God provides the sun, and then He provides the rain also. And that's why I'm looking for something that requires a little water and don't mind the sun.
Okay, provide a contact number before we have to leave the area.
Okay. So I am the commander for National Association for Black Veterans. We don't have a telephone. We do have an email. It's KC-NAB, that's N-A-B, V as in Victor, E-T-S, National Association for Black Veterans, what it stands for, Chapter 41 at Gmail. But I also work with veterans, helping them with claims. You know, a lot of times we go into the military, we get hurt, and the VA set aside dollars in the form of compensation and pension to help veterans. We don't want their income to go too low. My work number is 251-0751, and I am Rebecca Bradley. I love veterans. I am a veteran, and I'll do all that I can to work with veterans. I've been working with veterans for over 20 years. I started off helping veterans find jobs, and now I help them with claims. I have a co-worker, and we're both dynamic in what we do, but planning and plants and beautification, I believe in aesthetic value. You can turn the roughest, most ugly places into that which is most beautiful.
Imagine Ben?
Sure. Kansas City Community Gardens at 6917 Kensington in Kansas City, Missouri. We're in Swope Park, and our phone number is 816-931-3877. And also check us out on the web. If you just Google Kansas City Community Gardens, we can tell you about school gardens, community partner gardens, backyard gardens for families, and our Giving Grove orchards. And just check out our website.
And my name is MC Richardson, not only the host and executive producer of Guests Who's Coming to Kansas City, I'm also the chairman and founder, CEO of the United Minority Media Association. We are recruiting. My number is 816-822-8866, sale 816-694-2273, and our own engineer with all the veterans in St. Louis, the second largest city in Missouri, and we got the guy they rent out of Mississippi, Mr. R. Folk. Tell the people how you can be reached.
Ira?
Good. Okay.
I'm sorry, I had my phone muted. My name is Ira Folks. I'm the founder and CEO of Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, and my partner in crime, my partner in good is Scott Owens, who is our general manager and engineer of Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com. And we love looking forward to working with you major in the coming future. I know that already.
All right, then. Yeah, 816-251-0751. Give me a call. That's my work number. I work with veterans. If you have any veterans that need assistance, give me a call, too.
Well, okay, thank you very much. And normally, that's the dime. And what the military do when they be blowing the horn? Well, what's reveille and what's the evening?
Retreat.
Yeah. Okay, taps. Okay. Thank you very much. And always stay tuned and get more listeners to tune into. How do they tune into the show or see the show, gentlemen?
Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, and also we can be seen on Facebook and also YouTube, and that's Guests Who's Coming to Kansas City every Saturday on Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com. Please join us.
And like us, too.
And like us too, but please like us also. Matter of fact, Scott Owens is our general manager, and also I will say he is the man to make things take place. He's also a veteran also. And he's also very much involved with the veteran community here, so Major. I'm quite sure you and he will be having some good conversation in the near future.
All right. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're out of here.
Life is good. Be safe.
City, here I come. They got some crazy